So, hello everyone. Back in 2018, there was an archaeological dig in Finland, and they found this, what looked to be the body of an ancient warrior. The person was buried with a sword, some armor, and I believe a helmet. I know about the sword, I'm not so sure about the armor and the helmet, but I think they were there too. So now, in 2021, they finally have some chromosome testing back, and it turns out that the person had something called Klinefelter's syndrome. Now, what does that mean? That means that the person was, pardon, that means that the person was XXY. Right, they had 3 chromosomes, 2 X's and a Y. I don't think I need to explain regular chromosomes to you. You probably know. And so, a female archaeologist who's from Finland, her name is super duper Finnish. I don't even remember how to pronounce it. Who is actually an archaeologist who specializes in gender. So basically, she runs around applying woke gender nonsense to ancient corpses. She says, maybe this person identified as gender non-binary. Seriously? Woke politics, okay, politics has always been, there's been the more liberal side, there's been the more conservative side. Woke history, okay, all of our history is determined by how we view it. You can view it through a more liberal lens, you can view it through a more conservative lens. Okay, but woke archaeology, seriously? Now you're just taking your 21st century nonsense and applying it to people who have lived centuries before you. I can assure you that this person did not identify as gender non-binary because the idea of gender non-binary, the mythical idea of gender non-binaryism, did not exist until this very century. It's completely made up. I can also assure you that this person did not identify as gender non-binary because the only people who identify as gender non-binary are people whose lives are so easy and they are so bored and self-obsessed, narcissistic, that they have the time to figure out where they lie on the gender fluidity spectrum. This person was a warrior. They were buried with a sword. This person was more interested in remaining in the necessary physical shape. Now, by the way, having Klinefelter syndrome, being an XXY, they would have had less testosterone, so they wouldn't have as much. They wouldn't have as much muscle mass. They would have had a penis. It would have been smaller. Their testicles would have been smaller. The scrotum would have been smaller. They'd have been sexually sterile. And because of their lower testosterone, they wouldn't, like I said, they wouldn't be as big and strong as your typical male of the time. Yet this person was a warrior. Now they also would have appeared as basically male. There may have been a slight convexness to the breasts, but, they would have leaned more toward what we would call male side. And because this person was a warrior, they would have been way more interested in making sure that they could stay in the necessary physical shape to make sure that they were on the living end of their next battle. They were more interested in mortality and living past tomorrow, living past their next battle, than, am I a man or a woman? They didn't even know what chromosomes were, I doubt. I mean, did they... I mean, yes, ancient people have known the difference between men and women for centuries, obviously. We've been having babies for centuries. We clearly know how... We know how... I mean, we don't know the... They didn't know the science behind it, but they knew basically a man and a woman, they make new babies. Voila. Did this person even know that they had Klinefelter syndrome? I mean, it would have been like, oh, my breasts are a little different than all my male friends. But other than that, and oh man, that dick is kind of small. Other than maybe noticing that their body parts were a little different than everyone else around them, they didn't know that, that's because I have something called Klinefelter syndrome, and I have 3 chromosomes, 2 X's, and a Y. They didn't understand any of that. They didn't identify as gender non-binary because it doesn't exist. And even if it had existed, they wouldn't have identified to it because they were more interested in remaining in the necessary physical shape to preserve their own life. You have as much evidence to say that the person's name was Jana, which by the way is the Finnish version of John, and that the guy liked pudding cups. Seriously, you're just taking your own life. If you want to talk about cultural appropriation, if you want to talk about undermining someone's lived experience, this is it right here. You're taking stuff from centuries later and applying it to them. This is stupid. That's basically all I have to say. So I've posted on here about should I move to the other website, Rumble. And so I downloaded the Rumble app, and I watched some stuff on it, and it's not as good as YouTube. The nice thing about YouTube is when you click on the comments, the video will continue playing while you scroll through the comments on the phone. On the Rumble, and I downloaded the app off the Google Play Store. On the Rumble app, when you scroll through the comments, the video goes up there. You can hear it, but all you're looking is just a cell phone screen full of comments. It's just not as good as YouTube. Also, in order to post videos on YouTube, I have to download a second app called a Rumble Camera. Seriously, Rumble, why do I need to download a second app to upload videos? YouTube doesn't. Come on. So it's just not as good. And I like a lot of these. No, I'm not on Parler. I'm on Facebook and I'm on Gab. Gab is pretty good, and partially why I'm more active on Facebook than I am on Gab is because a lot of my relatives, because it's Facebook, everyone uses it. A lot of my relatives are on Gab. A lot of basically a lot of people I know are on Facebook. Are on Facebook. A lot of people I know are on Facebook, so therefore I'm more active on that site. And Facebook is arguably better. I've never been on Twitter. But unless one of you wants me to push forward with the Rumble thing, I don't know. I'm kind of cooling off on the idea. My next video is going to be a little bit of a part 2. It's going to be about the same topic, gender. I hope to have that out maybe Wednesday at the earliest. Thank you all for watching. Like, share, subscribe. You know the whole spiel. Have a great day. Hope you liked the video. Goodbye. And I will see you next time. Thank you all for watching.